Hello traders, how are we? Bear with me, still in the Philippines, still having slight tricky situation with the internet. But I hope you're all well, guys. Welcome to the live stream. Trader Tom here. And for the next 45 minutes, we are going to look at some trades that I am currently in. We're also going to take as many of your questions as possible. And we're also going to look at the news that's coming out. Let's take a look at that right now. We have got news coming out at 1/2 the hour. All right, so we've got CPI figures coming out of the US, and we will even play Guess the News game. I know, it's very exciting. And also a quick apology, because if the internet is playing about a little bit, I'm literally in the middle of a field. So there you go. Right, guys, let's say hello to a couple of people. Afternoon, Brett, how are you? Luigi, how are you? Hope you're all well, guys. Welcome. Now, we're going to start with the trades that I am in. All right, so I am in New Zealand dollar Swiss franc buys. Right, so if we go to the day chart now, we're going to look at exactly why I like New Zealand dollar Swiss franc buys. And this pretty much ticks all of the boxes for me, right? So on the day chart, we were in a downtrend. It then became a range, and then we broke the range, right? We broke out of this key level of resistance, therefore breaking out of this range. So we are in an uptrend. So structure and trend tick, right? The next bit I like is the candle. Super bullish daily candle breaking out of this level. Tick. Breaking a key resistance level, and then this level potentially becoming new support to come higher. Tick. And we have value, right? This is the moving average 20. We're pretty close to it, and we've got lots of room to move into. Tick, right? So from a daily chart perspective, this literally had everything, right? It ticked all of the boxes. Now, I entered this trade, okay? So if we go to the H4 now, this is my trade. You can see it here, right? Quite clearly. I entered here, target here, stop loss just below this level through here, right? So if I zoom in now, you can see I'm literally holding on by the skin of my teeth, but you know, I've put my stop loss in a good location, right? So that is so important. You know, what a lot of people, a lot of traders do, they start entering in here maybe, right? And then they're like, right, if I have a nice tight stop loss in here, you know, my trade doesn't have to go too far. I'm going to take liberties with the stop loss. And you just can't do that, guys. You need to give a trade room. And the point at which I am wrong is when it breaks H4 structure. So if you look at this level right through here, and we just follow H4 structure, right? That is clearly the last low in here, and it's a good support level. Now, whether I still get stopped out, right, or whether the trade starts flying up from here, you know, is irrelevant. But really, it's all about placing your stop loss at an area where you are totally wrong if it hits it. And that's where my stop loss is, right? So don't take liberties with your stop loss. Give your trade room. You know, unless you're scalping on the 5-minute chart, you know, you probably don't need a big stop loss. But I'm trading daily direction pretty much with H4 trend and H4 structure, right? And I will use H1 to refine entries, etc. But, you know, this is where we are at with New Zealand dollar Swiss franc. So let's see. You know, we're starting to get a nice bullish reaction at this level. We've still got another, you know, almost just under an hour before this candle finishes. But what we want to see, guys, I want to see a nice big green candle like that. obviously, because I'm in a buy trade. So we shall see. So that's the trade that I am in today. And I was also in Aussie dollar, Canadian dollar. Now, I'm going to explain how I traded this pair. Because there you can see how slow the internet is. You can see how the trading view takes a while to kick in. But bear with me, I won't be in the Philippines forever, although it wouldn't be a bad thing. It's been super chilled. So Aussie dollar, Canadian dollar. Now, I was also in this for a buy trade. And again, you can see my entry in here, my target, my stop loss, right? And, you know, H4's been tracking nicely up, really. This is pretty much where we're at. But at this point right here is when we had news coming out. So if I go to the economic calendar right now, and because of the time zone that I'm trading at the moment, I'm up literally, you know, more or less when the daily candle finishes, right? So 10 p.m. UK. That's pretty much the time I'm getting up, right? So yeah, this is Aussie dollar, and you can see we had the interest rate decision, right? Big news. So I'm going to show you exactly what I did. So before news came out, if we go to the hourly chart now, right? So you can see we were here, right? This is just before news coming out. And this big reaction with this wick here, that was all news. So all I did, guys, was, you know, I was in a winning position with this trade. So price came up and I literally got to 0.8987, which is literally there. I couldn't have exited at a better point. And all I did, right, was close 50% of my trade, right? And then I moved my stop loss from here to break even. So it didn't matter what the news did, right? It was a win-win situation. I've already taken this amount of profit, although be it, you know, only 50% of it. Okay. But, you know, if news went flying up, great. I would have had a very nice winning trade. But if, you know, news meant it come down and it hit the stop loss, it was a break even. So either way, I had a win-win trade. And this is a really nice situation to be in before news, right? So yeah, there you go, guys. Those were the two trades that one I'm currently in and one that's exactly how I managed it. And as always, guys, if I just show you on here, you can see the Aussie dollar, Canadian dollar buy trade and the New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc trade. And you can also see exactly how I managed the Aussie dollar, right? So closed 50% at 0.897, let 50% run, move stop loss to break even ahead of the Aussie dollar interest rate decision. So guys, yeah, that's a way you can manage a trade before big news comes out. Yeah, and is there anything else I'm looking at right now? I'm still looking at the Dow Jones. Okay, bear with it. Let me just get the man on the roof holding the satellite. Let's just wind him up. So yeah, I still like the Dow Jones. I'm just waiting for a bearish H4 candle. Because if we go to the day chart, guys, right, you can see we are in this downtrend. Okay, we're starting to see sellers, and we got this massively bearish daily candle. That the technical term is a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern, right? Not that that is important. Knowing the name of that candlestick is about as important as you knowing the capital of San Marino. Not that important, right? But yeah, so we're in a downtrend, nice big bearish daily candle. And on the H4, guys, we've broken down as well. So I'm just waiting for a nice big bearish H4 candle, which may or may not come, right? But if it does, let's say we get a nice big bearish H4 candle that looks, Christ, let me draw that again. Excuse me, guys, I've been drinking. Okay, still terrible. Yeah, if I get a nice big bearish candle looks like this, I might start selling in here, stops above here. All right, so I'm still very much interested in the Dow Jones. So yeah, that's pretty much me, guys. Let's take a look at what you guys are looking at. Let's say hello to a few people. Luigi, Brett's saying silver's looking good for a setup. All right, Brett, we will take a look at silver very shortly. Any, hello, Phil. Hi, Phil. How are you? Prathish, hello. Michael, hello. Raphael wants to look at US dollar, Canadian dollar, and US dollar, Swiss franc. Longs, okay. So you're looking at US dollar strength. Okay. All right. So let's start with this silver setup, because I know a lot of guys in the VIP, and specifically the guys that are using the price action indicator, are looking at silver sells. And it's very, not that I want to argue with it, it's very difficult to go against this trade. It ticks so many boxes. So like I say, guys, a lot of people using our price action indicator are looking at this trade, and rightly so. Yeah, so day chart, we are in a downtrend, right? Blatantly, yeah, lower highs, lower lows. So we're in a downtrend, and we're pretty much at the moving average 20, right, which acts as dynamic resistance in this case. And we've had a humongously big bearish bad boy of a red candle. If you look at that in any of the trading books, they will say big bad boy red bearish candle. Right, so lots of things to like about selling silver. You know, potentially we could aim for this piece of support in here first. If not, you know, potentially all the way back down to these lows. So daily, absolute sells, right? And then if we look at the H4 as well, absolute sells, because there's also this level through here with silver, right? You can see what was once support, right, has become resistance. So if we look at the H4, it was in this uptrend, and price stopped making higher highs. That is, alarm bells should. So if this happens, guys, right, this is really important. So if we're in an uptrend, I was going to use the replay button, but the man on the roof holding my satellite in place, so I have internet, may not be able to cope with that, right? But if laughing at my own jokes again. But if we're in a H4 uptrend, right, and we stop making higher highs, and we start to see, this is the important bit, and we start to see big bearish H4 candles like this forming, alarm bells should be ringing. That trend is dying. So much so that it hit the high, massive bearish wicks coming in. Sure enough, we break trend. Okay, we're now in a H4 downtrend. Lower highs, lower lows. So yeah, what's not to like, right? We've got a nice big bearish H4 candle, starts selling here, stops above here, and look to take price down to here. The only thing, right, not to be a party pooper or put a dampener on any trade, because I do like this trade setup. The only thing slightly perplexing me, word of the day, perplexing, is the weekly candle. Because if we look at silver, right, we are clearly in an uptrend with a nice big bullish weekly candle. That's the only thing, right? But we're seeing this with lots of US dollar pairs. we're seeing this, right? We're seeing the weekly chart is, and this will lead into Raphael's question, right? Because on the weekly chart, if we look at the US dollar pairs, they all look like buy trades, which suggests US dollar weakness, right? You know, this is silver. Let's have a look at Euro US dollar, right? If we look at the weekly, again, this is where we're at, right? We're in an uptrend, higher lows, higher highs, and we're getting, you know, big wicks, not very bullish candle, but you get my point. This is looking like a buy trade. Okay, so that's the weekly chart. Now, silver, euro, US dollar, lots of them of the US dollar pairs are the same. If I show you the day chart now, you're like, Tom, let's sell this bad boy. My God, my lines are bad today. I haven't even had my morning vodka yet. You know, you'll be saying, Tom, lower highs, lower lows, getting big bearish candles come in. Tom, let's sell this back down to here. And again, I couldn't disagree with that trade idea on the daily chart. It's just those weekly charts are contradicting that. Having said that, you know, I would be inclined to sell euro US dollar. If we look at the H4, you know, what do we need to see? I would probably need to see a break of this. You know, it's already in a H4 downtrend, but I just want to see a continuation, maybe something like this, and we could start entering. Right, so yeah, I'm in favor of US dollar strength, but only just. And one of the reasons I'm in favor of US dollar strength is pound US dollar, right? If this breaks down. Because if we look at pound US dollar on the daily, this is nicely in a downtrend, right? Tracking this trend line. Okay, lower highs, lower lows. And we had this nice big, well, not super bearish, but that is bearish enough for me to start being interested in pound US dollar. It is. But what I will need is more confirmation. And then I get that confirmation on the H4 chart. So you can see where my alarm is, guys, right? Right here, the dotted line. I'm just waiting for pound US dollar to break down. Maybe it won't break down. Maybe it will start doing this, right? So I'm not interested in it. But if it starts doing this and we break some lows, I will be all over selling pound US dollar, as will as will 90% of our Discord channel. I know everyone's looking at this trade because it's at this really nice trend line level. And I agree, I'm looking at it, but I'm not going to jump into this. I need it to break down. Nothing is telling me to sell this, like literally nothing. If anything, it's telling me to buy it. But I won't buy it because of the day chart, right? We're clearly in a downtrend. I don't want to be going against daily trend. So yeah, that is a lot of the US dollar pairs in a nutshell, guys. Raphael, we did have some. Okay, so let's carry on this US dollar analysis, right? Let's look at US dollar, Canadian dollar, and US dollar, Swiss franc for Raphael. Let me have a drink of what looks like water, but is really vodka. My God, it was sticky here today. Obviously, we've got AC in the rooms, but we went out for a walk earlier on. I was a sweaty mess. Not that you need to know that, but there you go. Right, what are we looking at? US dollar CAD. Now, you're interested in longs, right? So, okay. If we look at the weekly, this is this problem I have again. Because if you look at US dollar, Canadian dollar on the weekly, right? We are in a downtrend. And we've kind of hit this range, really, even there as well. We've kind of hit this range. And this level here hasn't broke. These candles have closed back inside. And we're at the moving average 20. So if you said to me, Tom, you know, if I only looked at one time frame, right, US dollar, Canadian dollar, and I only looked at the weekly, I would be interested in selling this and completing the range. We're in a downtrend stroke range, right? But that's the absolute reason I don't look at one time frame. Because if we look at the daily now, it's a buy trade, right? We was in this range. And on the daily, it's clearly broke this range, right? We've traced all the way back to the moving average 20, and we're starting to see bullish candles, right? This is looking like a very nice daily buy trade back up to there. I'd aim for this 138.50. But it's just, yeah, so everything we've just analyzed, silver, euro, US dollar, pound, US dollar, Canadian dollar, there's this weekly, daily conflict. But again, if you said, Tom, you have to trade it, otherwise we will pull your toenails out, then I would buy US dollar, Canadian dollar back up to here, especially what we're seeing right now. We do have CPI in 7 minutes, right? It's worth pointing that out, guys. So that could have a big impact on this US dollar. But if we look at the H4, just looking at that, I can see we're in an uptrend, right? You can clearly see, yeah, price was coming down, a little bit sideways, and then bang, we're in an uptrend. There is an interesting level here, right? There is. Let's see what price does here. I would be interested in that level. But, you know, looking at H4 as well, I am more bullish US dollar than I am bearish. But it's still not enough for me to enter a US dollar trade unless it's pound US dollar sells. Let's have a quick look at US dollar Swiss franc, just so you can see what I'm talking about. Again, weekly, right? If you was on the weekly, you'd be like, right, Tom, this is clearly in a downtrend. We've retraced. We're holding on to this support and resistance level. Look, that wick has closed back in. We're at the moving average 20. I would be inclined to sell that. If we go to the day chart, it is the complete opposite, right? We're clearly in an uptrend. And, you know, there was a bit of indecision in here, but buyers in control now. And I think we can take price back up to these highs. Yeah, maybe let some profit run. And if we look at the H4, yeah, I mean, there's a really nice level through here, right? Really nice level. Yeah, what was once resistance, when we break it, it becomes support. How many times, if there was one setup, you know, for the rest of my life, yeah, it would mean I have less trades or whatever. That is absolutely fine. But if there was one setup that I could trade for the rest of my trading career, right, it would be this. We have resistance, hit, hit, hit. When it breaks and retests, it becomes support, start buying, right? There's no better setup. And also when we get the moving average 20 coming round as well, that's like the little cherry on the cake. That is like Brad Pitt and Gal Gadot producing a child. It's gonna be a pretty good looking child, right? So that's what this represents, this setup. This is a Gal Gadot and Brad Pitt mating love child. So yeah, and it again, very difficult to suggest US dollar, Canadian dollar, and US dollar, Swiss franc are not buy trades, right? Looking at what we've just seen. Guys, if I could please ask everyone to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button, and please smash the like button. Merci beaucoup. If you haven't already, please come join our trading community. It's a beautiful place, and it's free, right? We've got a free Discord. Come in, speak to like-minded traders, share trade ideas, have a chit chat. Come join our free Discord. You can see the QR code on the screen. Also, guys, if you haven't already, please go check out our website, www.simply-forex.com. On there, you can get access to all of our premium trading education. We've got the course, we've got the mentorship program, we've got the VIP Trading Academy, and we've got the newly created price action indicator, which our traders are kicking ass with. Also, guys, today's live stream is brought to you by get my teeth in, Pepperstone. And it's such a good promotion, guys, right? If you switch brokers and go to Pepperstone, we will give you free access to the VIP Trading Academy, and we will give you a free Essential Trading View subscription. No brainer. They are also a world-class leading broker. So what more motivation do you need? Please let me know, and I will see if I can do it for you. So there you go, guys. Check out that promotion as well. Everything's in our free Discord channel, so you can go check it out. Everything in there. Right, what else are we looking at? So we've looked at that. Hi, Niraj, how are you? Any wants to look at Euro Canadian dollar. Okay, let's have a look at Euro Canadian dollar. Let's do a top-down approach. Actually, we've got 1.5 minutes until the news comes out. So we will look at Euro Canadian dollar after the news. So we've got to fill 1.5 minutes. Has anyone got a good joke? And any joke. If you've got a trading joke, that's like extra points. But has anyone got a good joke? Please let me know. Prathish is asking, what part of the Philippines are you staying? I am up north, Prathish. I am in Ilocos Norte. I'm fluent with the local dialect now, which is Ilocano. Lucky, good morning. How are you doing? I'm fine, Lucky. Hope you're well. Bitcoin and gold. Okay, Lucky, we'll take a look at that after the news as well. Daniel, we've got a question here. Okay, interesting question, Daniel. We'll definitely take a look at that. We'll look at that next. I like interesting questions like this. Yeah, okay. All right, so we'll definitely take a look at those questions. We've got news in 10, guys. Let me quickly go to Euro US dollar so we can play Guess the News game. Christ, I've almost ruined my setup there. Okay, there you go. That is very un-US dollar. That is very weak US dollar. Right, guys, so when I play Guess the News game, you're probably thinking, Tom, it doesn't take a genius to work out the news. No, you're right. Let's have a look at that silver trade. Okay, less aggressive in its US dollar strength, if any. As we're looking at US dollar weakness here. Sorry, we're looking at euro. Yes, we're looking at US dollar weakness. Bear with me. But look, it's not sustained. Let's have a look at a couple of hours, because pound US dollar, remember, we like this trade. Right, what is going on with this news? US dollar 30. Okay, I'm interested in US dollar 30. Let's take a quick look at that. This could be a really nice level to trade, but it's on the back of news. Right, if we go to the H4, yeah. I'm getting such good value here. If I start selling here, you know, I can even hide my stop up here, and there's still loads of room to move into. But I'm not going to jump in on something that's flying like this on the back of news, right? Let's have a look at US dollar yen on the H1. Okay, so we're getting, that was yen strength. Let's have a look at the NASDAQ. It's all quite peculiar, the reaction here. So why is it peculiar? Because we're getting indices strength, right? But then we're also getting yen strength. So that's a correlation that's not working. And you see how late my alarm was to the party. Welcome to my internet right now. US, okay, so now we're seeing US dollar strength. Let's go back to Euro US dollar. US dollar weakness. What is going on, everyone? I'm not too sure what to say here. I'm going to say the news was better than was worse than expected for US dollar. Okay. So a bit of a mixed bag, guys, right? We've got, as expected, better than expected, but only a 2-star rating. Worse than expected, but only just as expected. So really, it should all be quite muted, right? There's not much difference there, but we're seeing real US dollar weakness. Let's have a look at pound US dollar. Yeah, so this US dollar weakness is kicking in now, but not with Canadian dollar. Was there Canadian dollar news? Okay, so I'm assuming Canadian dollar's weak off the back of this. Minus 9%. That is a big miss, right? So let's have a look at a few Canadian dollar pairs, because I'm interested in New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. So there you go. I may well be taking a trade. I still like Aussie dollar, Canadian dollar. If we go to the H4, okay, maybe a little difficult to trade that now. No, it's lots of reaction here. Let's have a look at Aussie dollar, US dollar. Now we're seeing some US dollar strength come back in. Okay, I would not be touching these markets with a barge pole, right? US dollar is all over the show, and I know we focus pretty much solely on US dollar, but it's all over the show because you have those weekly, daily conflicts as well, right? Price doesn't know what to do with itself. Let's have a look at my New Zealand dollar Swiss franc trade. Okay, so not much of a reaction, really. I mean, it was going in the right direction to start with, but then we've seen some. So again, right, with New Zealand dollar Swiss franc, this is what I am thinking. Swiss franc is a flight to safety, okay? And the indices are flying, right? If you look at NASDAQ, flying, S&P, flying, Dow Jones, flying. So all the flight to safeties like yen, gold, Swiss franc, right, should, because this is doing this, I know it's only a few minutes after news, but these should be coming weaker. So let's wait for the markets to digest that news, and then let's see where we are with, you know, all of these flight to safeties. Let's take a quick look at gold. Okay, so yeah, look at that. I mean, it's against the US dollar. That's the problem here. Let's have a look at like a pound yen. Yeah, so there you go, guys. We're seeing a bit of yen weakness here, right? Let's have a look at New Zealand yen. Okay, yeah, so a little bit of yen weakness. Right, let's have a look at euro yen. Lots of yen weakness. So, okay, we are seeing some of the weakness coming to the flight to safety straight away. Let's have a look at a Swiss franc pair, because this should be bullish. Let's have a look at Aussie dollar Swiss franc. So I like this trade. Okay. Well, yeah, like I say, guys, I'm going to wait for markets to calm down. Right, let's take a look at this interesting question from Daniel. Tom, when you first started trading, did your family and friends give you grief about it? And if so, how did you deal with it? So they didn't give me grief about it. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think back that far, right? They didn't, when I first started, like, I didn't get any grief about it. My parents have always been pretty much, you do what you think's right, really, and left me to it. Not it wasn't uncaring or anything. They cared about me, but they were just like, yeah, you work it out, you'll be all right. So parents just sort of trusted me to make good decisions for myself. So they never give me any grief. Friends, friends think you are gambling, and let's be honest, to a certain extent you are, right? Your markets are can be unpredictable, and markets can do what they want, right? So you are gambling. There's no two ways about that. It's just that by reading charts and understanding price action, you're putting the probability in your favor, right? That's all you're doing. You are gambling, but you're putting probability in your favor. So I got a lot of that from friends, right? But then I had friends that would go and put, £200 on a horse, right? I would rather trust my intuition with reading charts and, trading with regards to that than putting £200 on a horse that I know nothing about, right? They're both gambling, but very different. But again, not too much grief really, Daniel, to be honest with you. But ultimately, you just got to believe, if something feels right, and that's what I held on to, because I've had some dark days with trading, and trading's been super difficult and took me years to become profitable, and lost a lot of money in that process, like most traders have, right? But I always stuck with it because it always felt right to me, and it always felt like it was something I wanted to do, and I relished the challenge of the markets. But there has to become a point where you become profitable. Otherwise, you don't do it. And your family and friends, if you start making money from trading, they'll be like, oh, fair play, good luck to you, fair play, and more my friends, oh, show me how to trade, or, show me this, so they soon change their tune, once they see you can make some money from it and you're making a living from it, and you haven't got to answer to, a stupid boss, or, be part of the machine, be part of the rat race, so yeah, stick with it, whatever you believe in, whether it could be, I don't know, go and live on a commune and live off the fat of the land. If that's what you believe in, go do it. If you want to become a trader, go do it. If you want to open up a dog walking company, I don't know why I always use that example, but it's because it's simple, right? Go and put out a few flyers or a few social media posts, right? If you believe in it enough, do it, right? You only get one chance at this very fleeting life, and who knows how long you've got. So just take a risk and bloody go for something you want to do in life. Don't keep working for some shitty company that doesn't care about you, will make you redundant like that. go and do something you want to do in life. And whatever it is, it could be a bongo player, it could be a belly dancer, it could be a milkman, right? Whatever you're passionate about, go do that. And I thankfully found my passion in trading. There's something I am passionate about. I enjoy, teaching others about it as well. I'm really passionate about that. So yeah, there you go, Daniel. Hope that helps. What else were we looking at? Yeah, exactly. So too darn soulful. Couldn't put it better myself, right? I agree 100% that we are gambling and have had many a disagreement with traders about this. Any business launch is a gamble. Exactly. Right? At some point, if you want to play it safe your whole life, feel free, but then don't at the end of your life go, oh, I wish I'd risked this or wish I'd done this, right? You can't have your cake and eat it. Even if you open a dog walking business, there's a gamble, right? So yeah, you've got to take a few gambles, a few risks in life, but just make sure it's the right gamble for you and you're passionate about it. Because one thing I would say is if you're not passionate about something, you won't have the determination to follow it through. Right? You'll give up at the first hurdle. Let's say I opened a cleaning company and, I'm just putting cleaners into different homes or commercial businesses or whatever. Would that get me up in the morning? Would that get me passionate? Probably not, right? So the first time that it gets a bit difficult or it starts to lose a bit of money or whatever, I'll just be like, it's not for me anyway. Whereas I've been through difficult times with trading, but I've kept going because I am passionate about it and I do enjoy it. So yeah, there you go, guys. Find something you're passionate about. Right, what else are we looking at? Let's have a quick look at gold and Bitcoin for lucky. And also, guys, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button and smash the like button. Also check out our free Discord and our website. Check it all out. Right, gold. If we look at the daily, I mean, let's not look at gold because it's the same as every US dollar pair. And this is a US dollar pair. Right, daily, I want to sell. Lower highs, lower lows. We're in a downtrend. Nice big bearish candle. Right, now if we go to the weekly uptrend, stroke range, right, bullish candles. I want to take price back to these highs. So that's the problem with all of the US dollar pairs. And then Bitcoin, I don't really trade Bitcoin. So just looking at Bitcoin on the weekly, there's lots of selling here, right? Blatant. Look at that candle. Look at these candles. So at this level, there's lots of selling, but there's a very nice support level in here. So if price retraces down to here, we form a bit of a range. I would be very much interested in buying Bitcoin from here. Moving average 20 catches up. Yeah, so this 110, 111, 112 level, I think could be really interesting for buying Bitcoin. So there you go, lucky. Guys, thank you very much for joining me today and appreciate all of your questions. I hope the internet was all right. I am in deepest, darkest Philippines, which is beautiful. And I will see you guys soon. All right. So guys, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Have a great trading day, and I'll see you again soon.